Hello, Bravs. We're back with more ghost stories. I will continue with Coffin Hollow and Other Ghost Tales by Ruth and Musick since they're short and I am short of time. Number 57, The Cline House. The Cline House was an old farmhouse on Lost River, about 2 miles outside of Matthias, West Virginia. A peddler was killed in one of the upstairs bedrooms of the place, and people were afraid to move in afterwards because the peddler had said with his dying breath that he would come back and kill anyone who lived there. The house had long been labeled a haunted house where John and Mary Smith moved into it. When John and Mary Smith moved into it on the first day of summer, one morning about a week after the Smiths had moved into the house, Mary was sitting on the porch with a basket of eggs she had just gathered when she heard a strange noise at the upstairs window. It was a weird, sniffing noise, and when she looked at the window, she didn't see anyone or anything that could have caused it. This puzzled her, but she soon forgot it. That night after Mary and John went to bed, there were noises in the next room. Someone or something that had been feeling along the wall and moaning suddenly fell to the floor with a loud scream. John got out of bed and ran into the next room. At first glance, the room seemed completely empty, but when he took a second look, he noticed there was something red on the floor and several large claw marks down the wall. He stood there startled, because this was the room in which the peddler was murdered. He decided not to tell Mary anything about it, since she had slept through it all, and he went back to bed. There was a staircase that ran from the room in which the peddler was killed down to the porch. The door of the bottom of this staircase opened onto the porch, but it could never be kept closed. The Smiths tried locking it and just about every other means of keeping it shut, but nothing worked. Hey, we got thunder. Finally, they nailed it shut. John and Mary were eating supper out on the porch one warm evening, when all of a sudden they heard something come rolling down the steps. All the nails popped out of the door and a large burlap bag rolled out on the floor and then disappeared. John told his neighbors about this, and they told him the story of how the murderers dumped the peddler into a large burlap bag and tried to bury the body before someone found it. They warned him to move out of the house as soon as possible, but he decided to stay as long as nothing else happened. Sometime later, a couple of the Smiths' neighbors went to check on them, since they hadn't heard from them for 2 weeks. When they arrived at the house, the first thing they noticed was that 3 burlap bags were lying on the porch. One was empty, but the other 2 had something in them. When they looked into the 2 full bags, they were shocked to find the dead bodies of Mary and John cut up and stuffed into the bags. No one else ever occupied the house again because it burned to the ground a few days later. The Cline House. Lovely story. Goodbye. Goodbye, bros.